following is a presentation of MRE Uno, Division 1.
Welcome everybody as we continue on Automotive April here in the 2025 MRE Uno Tournament T2. We draw ever closer to crowning an overall champion, as now it's an opportunity to put yourself into the Final Four through the Elite Eight. Good late afternoon if you're on the East Coast, early morning if you're on the West Coast. We appreciate you tuning in to this stream here as we are getting set for a matchup that I don't think anybody, if we were putting together a bracket here at the beginning of this T2, I don't think they would have had this late into this tournament. We've got the number 1 seed, the Boss KT, taking on the number 15 seed, Gone. Both of these two are champions in their own right here in T2, as KT has taken the Legend class winner, and Gone, after the elimination of Background, took the Rookie class champion of T2. But now they look to take it one step further to being the overall champion here in Automotive April and advance into the Final Four. We have already slotted in 2 participants that will be in that Final Four. We're getting ready to add a third. You take a look at the resume of these two coming into this one, and we talk about the statistics. KT definitely has those, as take a look at his record here in T2, 10-5. In the round of 8, a 4-2 record. He, of course, is a former champion back in 2024 in March Madness, and he's looking to carry momentum here into the month of April here in 2025. For the other side, for the rookie, it is the first appearance here in the round of 8 for Gone. But he's been able to take down some very formidable opponents here in Automotive April. He's been able to take down, we saw the upset against Captain. He was also able to take down Tapir. He's riding a wave of momentum. Can he carry that into the Final Four here today? We will have to wait and find out. Speaking of said bracket, we don't really have a schedule for you because, as mentioned, we end up having 2 of those players determined that advanced into the Final Four. Over on the Mustang side, Myth was able to take down Vapor. He awaits the winner of this matchup. On the other side, we still have Ed versus Monkey to determine who's going to take on G-Man, who was able to take down Laura in a 5-3 victory over in Diablo. So 2 matches still to be decided, 2 matchups already in the books. Let's take it down to the table, getting ready for what should be a good one here today. 9-game maximum matchup. Obviously, the highest seed gets the advantage. 2 power plays will come into play in this one as well. How will they be utilized as we get set here to find out what these 2 opponents are going to bring to this matchup? We've already got Gone. He's not in the voice chat, so we're going to be having his question typed out. But we got KT here in voice chat.
Hey, Seth, I got someone at my doors complaining of a lost dog. Give me 1 second. What?
Okay. we are canine lovers here at Emory Uno, so we'll let KT take care of that one. But we'll see what Gone has here. But we also have Cody Smart. He's roughing here this afternoon, and we're gonna have to see how this matchup plays out, because KT and I've talked about this before in a lot of the streams that we've done prior here in Automotive April. The stats, we bring them to you. They're important in what these players have done in the past, but you take a look at the statistics, you take a look at the results that we've had here, especially when we were back in the Tire 32 round. A lot of upsets, and we mentioned the fact that stats are just
Seth, you're
numbers.
gonna have to fill. Seth, dude. There's some guy. Some guy has a lost thought. I gotta fill 15 minutes. Can you fill 15 minutes? Give me 15 minutes. I apologize. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, we could try to fill 15 here. So we'll await Gaughan's answer here, which I believe he is typing. But we've ended up talking about the fact that statistics, they're really just statistics. They're just numbers that we give when we're observing what's going on. They sometimes don't necessarily mean anything once the cards are dealt and the play begins. And we'll have to see if that's going to be the case here in this one. Obviously, on paper, KT is the favorite coming into this one. He's been able to, as we know, put together a number of accolades. As a matter of fact, he's coming into his record-setting 7th Elite 8 appearance here. But as we mentioned, as far as Gaughan is concerned, you go back to that game versus Cap, definitely looked like it was, on paper, going to be a pretty easy win for Cap. And Gaughan was able to take him down. Tapir has had an incredible record here in MRE Uno, and Gaughan was able to take him down as well. So we'll have to see if Gaughan is able to rely on something like that, which is kind of part and parcel of what I asked him there with taking down the people that he's been able to here so far during the course of this month. Is that something, the experience that he's had in those matchups, is that something he's going to be able to now bring to the table in facing off against KT? I can speak from experience. I faced off against KT before. It is not easy at all, because KT kind of reminds me a lot of Caesar, where he will hit you from multiple angles. Just when you think you've got him figured out, he hits you with something else, and you have to readjust your strategy accordingly. We'll have to see if Gaughan's going to be able to rise to that challenge. Obviously, we also talk about the fact that, the classes that we have here, Legend, Veteran, Rookie, I mean, those are just names. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Rookie class have absolutely zero experience when it comes to Uno. These guys are very well experienced, as Gaughan has proved. We saw Background make a good run as well. Those two were in that tooth and nail fight to be able to win the Rookie class here in T2. And obviously the exit from Background gave that title to Gaughan here, being the Rookie class winner. But they're not rookies in experience. They are 100% able to take the battle to the Legends, to the Veterans, as we have definitely seen in the past and obviously seen here at this point. While we're waiting for KT to come back, we'll again just give you a look once more at what the bracket looks like here for the regional finals, heading into the Final Four here for Automotive April. Vapor and Myth, very handily a victory by Myth there, 5-1 over Vapor. A little bit more of a challenge over in the Diablo region, as G-Man was able to win in 8 in a 5-3 victory over Lara. But you take a look at the look at how even a lot of these matchups were. You had a 10 seed versus a 13 seed over there in the Diablo region. You had a 5 versus 6 over in Mustang. You got a 7 versus 13 in Monkey versus Ed. Ed's going to be one that Monkey's going to have to watch out for. Again, speaking from experience, Ed was the one that eliminated me here from Automotive April, and we had an incredible matchup that ended up going into 9 over there in the Spider region, and that's going to be at 8:30 later on here this evening. That will not be a streamed game, but at the end of the day, we will know who our Final Four are going to be. And then, of course, as mentioned, this seems, at least on paper, to be the mismatch in terms of the seeding, the 1 versus 15 seed. I don't know if we've ever had I didn't actually go back and look. I don't know if we've ever had a 1 versus 16 seed advance this far into a tournament. You gotta think this is pretty close to maybe a record of the furthest into a tournament that a low tier seed and a high tier seed have faced off against each other. And I've just been told here by Short that the Monkey versus Ed matchup actually is going to be streamed. So my apologies on that misinformation. So that will be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern later on tonight. So be sure to tune in to that one. Gone with his answer here. So I'll read off the question that I asked him and then read his following reply. Credible run that he's been on. He's been able to topple some very experienced opponents. How much is he going to have to rely on what he's learned in those previous matchups to take the fight to KT here today and attempt to make his first Final Four, of course, making his first Final 8 appearance here. And he says, really ecstatic about the win over Tapir. Really thought that he played well, but knows he's going to have to turn it up another notch. Sounds like Emerald Lagasse, another notch to get the best of KT. Going to try to take care of what he's learned in the last couple matches, but overall going to try to keep adapting and stay moving forward. And we've talked a lot about the player's ability to adapt as well, facing off for the first time against opponents, moving further here into the finals of Automotive April. And you know, I'm going to be talking about it a lot here today. Basically, our core 4 things that we talk about just about every single time that we're broadcasting. Number 1, don't make mistakes. You make mistakes, you're going to pay for them. Number 2, control what you can control. We have seen so many great players, well-versed players, players that have resumes as long as my arm, get taken down. Why? Because there have been things that have been out of their control. Of course, we talk a lot about the bot meta, ammo distribution, those type of things. Those are things that you really cannot control. Top deck draws. We've seen a lot of lucky top deck draws here during Automotive April. But if you control what you can control with what's in your hand, with what's on the other side of the table, more often than not, it's going to work out. There are some things that are not in your control. You can't handle those type of things, but you've got to at least be able to control what is within the power of yours to be able to do so. Another thing that we talk about as well, stick with what you know. We have seen, we heard right there with Gone saying about adapting. There is adapting and there is over adapting or overcompensating, thinking I gotta do something different, and you end up putting yourself into an uncomfortable situation that you're not necessarily familiar with. You do that, you start to get flustered, you're not exactly sure what you're supposed to do. Next thing you know, you find yourself in a worse deficit than you were when you were just at your normal strategy, and that's something that we're going to be seeing here. I definitely think with what we've seen out of KT and what we've seen out of Gone here down this entire stretch, I think that we're definitely going to see them stay within their comfort zone. I don't think we're really going to see them go outside of the box in any way, shape, or form unless they absolutely have to, or if they've got the comfort in being up at an early advantage to do something like that, maybe show something a little bit different to the other side. But aside from that, I think we're going to see these two play very smart, very confined into what they know. And then the final thing that we talk about as well, and while it's not necessarily something that you can generate, we talk about that you need a little bit of luck. We have seen a lot of times where skill makes up for about 60-70% of the success, and that extra 30 to 40% is the luck factor. You've got to rely on those top deck draws. You have to rely on the ammo distribution. That plays a huge part into the call that we end up getting for how many cards these players want to start with, not only at the beginning of matchups, but late in the matchups and even right in the juicy middle of the matchups as well, where we usually see the momentum ebb and flow and shift in terms of who is going to have maybe a little bit more of a comfort level, a little bit more of a momentum advantage going into those final games. So those, we talk about those being really the core 4 fundamentals that we've definitely seen, not only here in Automotive April, but back in March Madness, and of course going back into 2024 as well, near the end when we started running with this new bot meta. You definitely think those are all going to be things that we're going to be talking about during the course of this matchup as well. What's also going to be interesting too is a lot of times when we end up getting into the later regional finals of a tournament, you more than likely expect that we're going to go late into these matchups. Now, Vapor Myth may be a little bit more of an unusual one, as we only ran 6 of the allotted 9 games. We ended up going into 8 of the 9 on the Diablo side, with Lara versus the eventual victorious G-Man. So what are we going to be looking at for this one? I don't know. We could easily see a 5-0 sweep, but a lot of times, though, you look at these resumes, you look at what's happened here in the past, and you can fully expect that we're going to go into a final game 9. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case in this one. Of course, as well, we talked about it just earlier, but we'll talk about it a little bit more here in terms of the power play. Normally, beginning of the season, middle of the season, you end up having just that one power play to be able to rely on, but now we've got 2 power plays to be utilized. They can be used offensively, they can be used defensively. You gotta wonder, it's obviously going to be situational on how they're going to be utilized, but you can't take them with you if you're eliminated or advance into the Final Four. So I think you're going to see both of these players utilize these power plays, probably more, I would say, at least one of them around the middle portion of this matchup. I don't know if you'd necessarily see it early on, unless maybe you feel taking a 2-0 advantage or a 2-1 advantage is going to be really, really important, but having that extra power play in your hip pocket, I think, is going to add a little bit of freedom to the way that these two are going to play, especially in the early going. If you find yourself down going into, say, a Game 4 or Game 5, and you still have your 2 power plays in place, that's an opportunity to be able to springboard momentum back into your favor, try and draw it back even. How they're going to utilize that, I don't know. KT's been here before. He's been in the Elite 8 before 6 previous times. So he's got the prior experience of when is the right time to utilize that power play. For Gone, he hasn't. He's had only one other matchup here in Automotive April where he's had 2 power plays at his disposal, and that was back during the the Sport Mode 16. So will he be able to adhere to just that one matchup against Tapir as to when is the right time to use the power play and when it isn't? Because we talk about timing as well. Timing is everything. We've seen so many times here during the course of this Automotive April tournament where you can feel like you're in control. You've got a great hand. You've got a lot of ammunition. You've got 7 cards on the other side, and you're thinking, yeah, I've got a clear path. Next thing you know, 6-bagger, 7-bagger. We've even seen an 8-bagger close out a game. Those type of things you've got to keep in the back of your mind. You do not want to wait too long. You don't want to wait that one turn too long and end up finding yourself with a monster hand but nothing to show for it, and find yourself down a game because you did not pull the trigger at just the right time. We'll take a look once again here at the resumes of these 2 individuals coming into this one. Of course, the biggest one that stands out is the fact that you look at the career round of 8 record here for KT, and this being the first appearance for Gone. What about mentally? How focused are you coming into this one? You gotta think the nerves are setting in for somebody like Gone. Obviously, very experienced, but when you're making your first appearance in anything, there's got to be those pre-match jitters. So, in terms of KT having been here before, you got to think he's very composed, he's got the prior experience, but, how are those early match jitters going to affect Gone and his gameplay? You got to think that he's going to start getting settled down when he gets 1-2 games into this thing, but it will be interesting to see how he comes out firing in terms of mentally how focused he's going to be in the early matchups here, the early games. I think games 1 and 2 are going to be very important. Whether he wins them or not, I think is going to be important in what we see with the style of gameplay. Do we see the typical Gone that we've seen here when he was able to take down a high-seeded matchup in Captain, when he was able to stay composed against Tapir? Will we see that here in the early going, or will he have to rely on a couple of games in to finally settle things down? Also just got a note from Short. said something that is not on the preview graphic is that Gone is 2-0 in regional final appearances in D2 last season. So this is his first D1 appearance in a Elite 8, but he does have appearances late in a tournament over in D2. So obviously that could play a factor as well. Appreciate Short giving that bit of information there, because that is important in the fact that this isn't the first time that Gone has made an appearance late in a tournament. It's just the first time he's done it here in D1. So that D2 experience lasting long into a tournament matchup, that could be very important as well. So that might actually take away the early nerves that I was just talking about. That might negate that factor. Obviously, you look at the accolades on the other side of the table. That might make you a little bit nervous, but having that prior experience in D2, that certainly could be important in terms of the composure of Gone coming into this one. We appreciate once again everybody tuning in here. We're in a little bit of a recess before we get going in this best of 9. KT taking on Gone. We'll once again bring it back to the bracket just to bring you guys up to speed once again. If you're just tuning in of what's gone down so far here in the regional finals of Automotive April, we are awaiting the winner of this matchup to take on Myth in the Final Four, the winner of the Mustang region. Later on this evening, you'll see at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the MRE Uno YouTube channel. The winner of the Spider region going to be determined, as Ed will be taking on Monkey, and the winner of that matchup will be facing off against Waiting in the Wings G-Man, who was the winner over on the Diablo side, taking a 5-3 victory over Laura. So 2 final games to determine our Final Four here today. At the conclusion of this evening, we will know who's going to be taking on Myth, who's going to be taking on G-Man, and of course, who is then going to be fighting it out in that finals here in Automotive April. Leia saying that she likes to imagine Gone is just standing there menacingly. There's this entire dog thing. KT saying that he'll be back soon. So hopefully they're able to find that dog, as that's what's going on right now. I don't know. Maybe when KT comes back, he's known as the boss. Maybe we're gonna have him be the dog catcher. Maybe that'll have to be his new name heading into the next tournament or something. I don't know what
I'm back, buddy.
Oh, we're back. Okay.
Weird story. It hasn't been resolved yet. Basically, around 7 a.m. I'll tell the story.
Animal control, KT.
Breath, man. I just ran 4 miles, man, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But I had the dog at 7 a.m. Yeah, it woke me up. I kept it in for about 2 hours. And then I bring it up to the neighbor. I think everything's good. He says he'll take it. And then all of a sudden, this lady comes at my door. I have it. Where's the owner? Oh, great. So I said, well, I gotta do something. 1 o'clock, I'll try to get it out of here and I'll help you. But man, I've had some strange things happen before matches. That's the second strangest thing. Surprisingly, I still think the strangest thing that's ever happened to me was we were streaming back in March 23, and after the game, your hands were on stream. You son of a gun. Right, so I'm glad to get back in my office here after running 4 miles.
Right.
And
4 miles in the span of what, about 10 minutes? That's very Endurance 8 of you.
For 3 miles, about 3. I can run quick. There's a reason why I'm in the Jaguar region. I can run like a jag. But I'm kind of shy, but let's do. I know God's got things to do. Cody Smart, put 14 in, man. I don't want it set to I don't know how many dead air minutes he filled, 30,000, but I don't want to put 14. Thank you, buddy. Keep going back to what you were saying, Seth.
All right, so we'll get this thing started to kick off. I mean, you know, I'm gonna kind of like.
Yeah, I'm just gonna draw. I gotta get a water.
Yep, all good. I'll just quickly ask you real quickly here, KT. Here, we'll just kind of expedite the pre-game stuff here. Obviously, a lot of accolades coming into this one. Congratulations on that record-setting 7th appearance here in the Elite 8. But you've had the opportunity to observe what Gone has done here in this Automotive April. He's taken down some giants in this tournament. With that being said, how much are you going to have to rely on your experience to be able to take down somebody like him? Because it seems like you both definitely are pretty even in terms of momentum coming into this best of 9.
Give me 1 second, Steph. 1 second.
Okay, no problem. And you saw right there, guys, we're starting out with a +4 right off the bat here in this one. So, unfortunately, Chaos does not have an E to begin it, because the Chaos 8 would not make sense, but I think that's been at least the running theme to start out this tournament's game. Pandemonium, nope, that doesn't begin with an E. What's a word that would be a synonym for that starts with E?
All right, I'm back. What was the question? Thoughts on Gone?
Just the fact that we've had the opportunity to observe what Gaughan's been able to do here. Obviously, taking the rookie class here in T2, with who he's been able to take down, his style of play and everything. How much are you going to have to rely on your experience factor? Because you've been here before. This is your 7th appearance in the Elite 8.
Right.
How much does the experience factor come into play here to try and have the momentum edge?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, right? You look at Gone. He's done a lot of good things this tournament. I'm not going to say he doesn't. He deserves to be here, absolutely. But in terms of experience, it matters, but it doesn't matter at the same time, because I've been here so many times. I've seen so many things. I was just coming off not just I just came over 20 minutes ago, but a fantastic win over Andy. Right? You got the 2 hundo. You got all this great stuff in the back pocket. But you got to look at this, man. This guy has nothing to lose. I have nothing. We both won our classes, and I think with that, it comes a point where when you both have your classes won, you can play a little more freely, right? I have a banker on the amount of wins I believe this year, so that gives you a little bit of some sense of pride. It gives you a little sense of pride, like, hey, that's really good, and that's really a chance to move the needle in the right direction when you have a good start to the season. But at the same time, Seth, you can't sweat the small stuff, right? You can't sweat it, and you have to really expect this one to go down to the wire. I think both of us know what we gotta do, so it'll be a good one. We'll see how we play it today. That's for sure.
Gonna be a good one indeed. Well, let's get this thing kicked off. These two have been able to sail through suspension 64. They traversed tire 32, swerved through sport mode 16, and now they're in the endurance round. The endurance 8 is KT gonna start us off in the green. Gone will run with the green as well. 14 card start, so going to be a lot of ammunition available potentially for each one of these guys. See how long until we see that first shot. If indeed the ammo distribution is even, it could be one-sided. We'll have to wait and find out here as we swap over into the yellow. Gone will follow suit with the yellow 1. Quick change there from the green to the yellow by KT. That's been something we've seen a lot of people adapt to, the light switch metas. Try and not only get over to a color that they may want, but also try and get into a color that the other person may not have, and try and ice them out. Is again another light switch. This time over into the red, and an answer back into the blues. So it didn't take long for us to find all 4 colors. KT, though, with the shot back, reverses it to the red 1. Let's see if that's going to ice out Gone, or does he have an answer? He's still able to run in the red with the red 3. Be interesting to see the clash of styles in this one, or maybe the similarities in styles that we'll see here. Seen a lot of times where there are a lot of players that kind of mirror each other. It's almost like playing your clone. And we may end up having something similar like that here in this one, as we will continue to run in the red. Both players with quite a bit of red, it looks like. This is the longest we've stayed in a color so far, and now gone with a little, well, I was going to say maybe a 1-2 punch, but instead a little 3-bagger, a little trips play with the double skip, brings it over into the green, and KT says, no, we're going over to the blue now, so we were in red, quickly swapped over, and now we'll run in blue for a while, so we may end up having a pretty close to 2-color hand on both sides, maybe in the red and the blue. Trying to fish out the yellows and the greens potentially here. Continue to run in the blue. Bear in mind for later on here that trips play, a couple of skips used there by Gone. Could have been some ammunition. Could have maybe used later on in this game. It looks like he's going to use some more ammo here. With the reverse in blue. Gone down to 4 cards. Could this be a finish? Oh, it is. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, nothing. Probably for the better, man. I was out of sync that whole game.
5-bagger with the try reverse into the +4 to the +2. And Gone will go up 1-0. And you just said it there, KT. Had nothing. So the ammo distribution one-sided here, I would assume, in game 1.
Yeah, no, I had 0 there. I had completely 0 juiced. The only thing I could try there was maybe try a backdoor opener. I'd maybe leave a backdoor number efficiency opener, but no, now that was a weird game too. Gotta get my bearings straight, but we're back now. We'll ask on a question. I think this time start to settle down, get game 1 out of the way, and we'll come back. That's how we usually do it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was talking about the fact that this is the first Elite 8 appearance for Gone, and Short let me know about the fact that he's advanced quite far into matchups in D2, so maybe not as much the pre-match jitters going into that one, but what about for like a seasoned veteran of legend status like yourself? Is there still any like pre-match butterflies going into that first game? Because you talked about now settling down after game 1.
Well, that and I just dealt with a couple mile run, but yeah, no, it takes a second to get used to it. Like I said, he had the hand. And you gotta look. He's got nothing to lose, and since he's never been here before, he got nothing to lose in terms of how good start to the season. So it's going to be a back and forth game. We just have to decide on a little bit of action cards. Who wants to get the runs going? And when you see that kind of hand, I know it can whiplash you any minute. I've been here before, so not a big deal. We still got a long way to go for sure, as you ask on the questioner.
Yeah, try and make sure not to have like super comprehensive questions here, so that we're able to give some pretty easy answers back, because I understand quite a number of people are on the clock here today. But what about the fact, I mean, obviously, nobody wants to lose an Uno game, but that now means you'll have that 14 to potentially call upon later on in this matchup. Is that something that is kind of a little bit of a silver lining in the cloud?
Yeah, it's a silver lining, and like I said, when you have those backdoor 14s, upper starts, you can really look at this and say, you know what? We can always go back to it, but there's a time and place for it. I know I have 4 home games guaranteed. You never can guarantee that 5th one because that's game 9. So you have 4 home games guaranteed, but you got to use the first 3 that you're really guaranteed, which is 1, 2, and 5 to your advantage. So you got to play one strategically. And like I said, I think Gon, he's a player that goes more mid. He'll go mid. He'll go high. He'll take it. We're all over the board. So that's something I'll keep in mind too, when he can take it all over the board, and he can run it whenever. So that's something I'll keep in mind as well, for sure.
All right, well, Ask Gone said he had the ammo advantage, obviously, there, and how important was in terms of momentum and setting the pace to have that first game win. He said, nice pace managed to keep the game moving, the cards played, so going to try to continue that. Good ammo use, definitely seems like he had the advantage. So we'll see if the momentum shifts here in the upcoming game 2. We'll have our referee Cody Smart put in with the number of cards here with this second home game for KT. KT, what are we looking at?
We'll go 12-pack.
Gonna go with the 12 down to the classic dozen. KT gonna go into the mute here, get a little bit more into the zone, a little bit more focus as we'll kick things off with the green +2 that Gone was able to end the first game with. It will kick off this second game. We'll see if KT bites, and he will. Little early shot there. Almost kind of like a Caesar play there. Little 1-2 punch. Draws the advantage now, putting Gone back 2 cards, and Gone with the light switch into the yellow. KT will run with it. One would have to think with that early +2 played there by KT, trying to put Gone on the back foot, try and have the momentum here in this matchup. Got to wonder too, with him playing that early +2, does that mean that that we are correct, that the ammo distribution evened out here in this game onto the side of KT, and he felt that he could waste that +2, having a little bit more left in the chamber to fire out late. As we're into the red now, the red 0 sugar. Gone will bring it over to the blue. Not an easy number to swap the color over on, but Gone had one in reserve. KT will run in the blue as well. And we're back to red once again. So interesting, Gone made the move over to blue, but he brings it back to red, initiates the color swap away, and then brings it back. And they'll continue to run in the red. Oh, nice little trips play there by KT. Now he'll bring it back to the blue once again. Does that ice out Gone? No, he had more in reserve in the blue as well. KT down to 2 cards, and he's iced out. I think KT might have been going for a heat check there, bringing it over to the blue. And now an answer back, a little double play there from Gone. Oh, that just freed up KT though. Number efficiency, the 3 blue into the green. Now Gone has to be back on the defensive. He'll bring it into the red with KT down to 2 cards. KT brings it back with the number efficiency to the green once again with the 3. Back to the red 3, wipe Gone. What a back and forth, and that ices out KT at Uno. Incredible job by both. The number efficiency there towards the close. And KT forced into the draw now. Gone. Controls it back to yellow. Back even at 3. Oh my gosh, look at this. A little draw back with a +2 into the draw for KT. Brings the advantage back in his favor. Gone now with 2 freshies. And Gone with the answer back. He'll hit his own yellow +2 into the skip. Could this be a finish? Was that skip what he needed to be able to get to the finish? Into the yellow 3. Oh, he didn't call the Uno. He didn't call the Uno. Oh, a little too fast there with the typing. Great job. Great awareness by KT. Gone's now back at 4 cards. KT still iced out. Iced out in the yellow. Gone going to be able to continue to run in the yellow. Back down to 2 cards. KT, is he looking for something, or is he just not have anything to be able to get off of yellow? Now to the blue at Uno. Gone called it this time. KT runs with the blue. Is this it? No. Gone not able to get a finish. And now we're going to go into a bit of a draw city. Both these guys are going to be looking for a little top deck. There's a top deck. The green 2. Is that the color Gone needs? Drew his own card. That's exactly right. Is that going to be what he needs? Oh, KT, typing a while. He might have something here. This may be a monster play by KT, with Gone sitting at Uno for the second time in this game. And there it is. Brings it back to red. Draws as well after the +2. So again, draws Gone away from the Uno. Gone now back to 3. KT whittles his hand down to 8. Good usage of that ammo. And there you see, ices him out. Knew that he had to get to the red. Was hoping that the 2 fresh cards would not yield a red. Top deck there. Red 4 by Gone. KT, top deck, it looks like there as well. With the 2. Gone, iced out. KT, iced out. And now we rely once again on the top deck. Let's see what we've had in the 2s so far. We've had both blue 2s played, both red 2s played. One of the green 2s plays. There's only 3 2s available. Won't need to worry about that, though, as KT top decks the red 5 with DJ. That may open up the door now. Let's see if Gaughan's able to swap the color over with the 5. No, he also must have gotten a top deck, as he's got red 8. KT iced out. Does Gaughan have the number efficiency now for a light switch off of red? We've seen ammo usage on both sides, but kind of in the early mid of this game. Is there something that they're holding in reserve, or are we really just relying on number efficiency right now? Gaughan was taking his time, but now he will draw as well. And we will continue into draw city here. Twice Gaughan was down to Uno. Got drawn back the second time, got called out with a failed call Uno the first time, and now a little 1-2 punch there by KT. Starts to draw it even now. Only 2 cards away. Possession still in favor of Gaughan. Swap over into the blue, so now we might actually have it freed up a little bit here. It's been a while since we've run in the blue. Yeah, quite a while. And we were only there for a cup of coffee. That's Gaughan with the advance to level 10 after the playing of the blue 7. One color we have not been in for quite a while, and we didn't stay in it for very long, was the yellow. Is that the finish for both of these guys, potentially? As now KT iced out on the blue. Gaughan will be able to run a little bit longer. Into the green. Gaughan currently seems to be in control, but every time we have these light switches, KT may have something to answer back. Now he'll bring it over into the yellow. Oh, Gaughan wants it back in the green. Does KT have an answer? Does he have a +4? Does he have a wild to answer back? He does not. Instead, hits a little trips play there with the double skip into the green. 0, Gaughan at Uno. He calls the Uno. Now KT going to have to rely on the number efficiency. If he's got a wild +4, which he does not, is green the finish here? Green is the finish for Gaughan. Number efficiency, color control, the name of the game here in game number 2. And Gaughan will go up 2-0 in his away games here to kick off this matchup. KT, it definitely looked like the ammo distribution maybe a little bit more even there, but towards the end, though, certainly seemed like color control was the name of the game.
Yeah, I got that call out. That was good, because I think he had the game won if I hadn't called him out. I had, let me see here. Green 0, green 1, green 2, green 4, green 6, green 9, green skip, green script, green 0. So I knew the whole hand was in green, so I got him to yellow. I tried to make the break. The only thing I could have done maybe was, lay off the gas a little bit, but then look at that. I mean, if he goes green, then all I would have is a 1. He didn't have any matching numbers. I pulled the play on the +2 because, what was it? I just didn't have a good hand to start. I think I only had that blue +2 off the start, so I figured, okay, pull the pin. And he actually would have lost the game, but then I picked up a yellow +2 in the draw city when we had that double green back 3. I want to say it was, I think we were going over that sequence. The double greenback 3. Um, so he did a good job there, getting me into that one draw. Otherwise, it was game of. If let me just make sure I'm confirming that. Yeah. So that double greenback 3, that blue 3 area, I pulled the pin. I had double green 3 to start. I faded it off. I got a yellow +2. All I needed was a green +2, and then he would have been cooked because I would have had the ammo on the end. So yeah, just one draw. Unfortunately, was in my place, but that's all I really had. Just the blue +2. He did a good job isolating that. Nothing really to say. Dragged it. Like I said, probably should have finished at one point, probably 5 minutes ago, because he had the Uno call. He had done that, but I had stalled it out to where at least I could get back in the game using a little draw city. So I'm happy with that, even with the loss.
Yeah, able to draw him back not once but twice, especially with that Uno call out. You know, I was trying to kind of dissect where the two of you were at. What was it looking at for you? Was it the yellow or was it the green that you needed to be able to kind of find a path to the end? Because obviously it looked like the two of you had pretty much exhausted your red and your blue.
Yeah, we exhausted. I kind of knew that was coming, so I said, okay, well, it was gonna. I really didn't have path. It was just play draw city, and I knew I had all the green cards. Like I said, I had green 0, 1, 2, 4, 6, 9 double skip package. The only thing I was looking at, okay, does he have the remaining numbers? And I banked he did, so that's why I went to yellow. And my assumption was right for sure, because if he doesn't have that wild, he stays in that yellow draw city, so we just isolate it. But the only way I would be able to win this game was I needed a +2 or something just to spark momentum back on the back end. I didn't get it. He didn't get a backdoor +2, so I call it fair. It came down to the point, like I said, with the +2s being exhausted. I knew the yellows and the blue +2s were exhausted too, so I was more confident to be there. Whereas the red and green had one left, so I was just maybe he had that one green backdoor +2, but in the end, it didn't matter what he did. I couldn't. The only thing I could have did maybe in that situation was, hope for a draw and pray. But at the end of the day, it looked like it was a back end game on the +4. So that was the read on that. He did a good job of saucing that one out. Nothing really to say on that one for sure.
Just to go inside the head of a champion, too, for everybody watching at home, maybe kind of wondering about
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
the things that they'll see here. I want to go back to the very beginning of this matchup. We started out with the green +2, and you decided to play off of it. A lot of times we'll see players, they just play it cool, just play a number. Was doing that, having that little stack with the +2 to be able to set momentum in terms of possession here to try and draw it back even 1-1?
Yeah, I had to do it because I saw that first game. I had absolutely zero. I said, okay, I have absolutely zero. So there's only one way to get the momentum back in your favor. You got to be aggressive. And sure enough, I was right, because if I don't do that at the end of the day, he could have a wild flush and he could play his ISO game. So I maximized it to the absolute potential. And when we got to that sequence with the threes, okay, I look at the CH, the +2s are used, the +2s are used. You run a clean there, okay, what do you got in the back end? It can change in a heartbeat. So I accepted that fact. I accepted what was going to happen. In a sense, okay, both guys are going to be iced on that one color. And then it came down to who saved whatever for last. And the only thing I could have done differently, like I said, was maybe play a little bit less aggressive. But then when you don't get the hands, you're not going to get the hands off the top. So you kind of have to read this bond and say, okay, if you're not getting it early, you might as well go full send and kilter it off to the top and see if you can get some momentum generated. And it worked. It got me to Uno. So once again, that's all I can really say. I maximized that game, did a great job, and that's how I usually roll. I kind of go off the instinct. The old bot, I had a notebook, right? It was thick. This one, you got to go off your instincts a little more, and I had to make that red +2 jar because I knew he didn't have red. We both juiced, and look, he was drawing. So in the end, it worked out in my favor where I got everything I needed. I just couldn't get the top deckers, and I just used that in my notebook and take it as a grain of salt and say, okay, didn't happen there, but we still have time to keep moving forward for sure.
Definitely time, and got to go off your instincts. Great point there. We've talked a lot about them. We've heard a lot of players here respond to that same of response of just relying on the instinct as much as the strategy. I asked Gone about that Uno call out. Just seemed like he got caught up in the moment, and asked if that had him consider backing the pace down a little bit later in the game in terms of typing out for a finish. He said, small mistake, one of the first ones of this tournament. Luckily worked out in the end. He doesn't plan on slowing down unless the situation gets worse. At the moment, he is feeling comfortable. He's up 2-0. He's got the possession arrow now with his first home game here in the Elite 8. And Cody, go ahead and ask him what he would like for the card start here in Game 3. No 12, no 14 obviously available. There for Gone. He'll go right in the middle. We'll go with the lucky or unlucky 13, depending on what side you're on, and we'll start things off in the color that has been pretty much the dominant color of this matchup so far in both games 1 and 2, the red. Ran a lot in red back in game 1. We got iced out in red in game 2 and Gone immediately with the light switch over into the yellow. KT will say, nope, we're going to stay in red. He will swap it right back. That was probably one of my favorite sequences back in game 2 where we had the green 3 to the red 3 to the green 3, right back to the red 3 again. A little back and forth there. And iced out in the red, and the early going is Gone. So a great play there by KT. He'll get himself the early advantage, and he'll be able to continue to run in the red. Now relying on the number efficiency to not have Gone swap it off said color and try and take some possession back in terms of color control. Gone still forced into the draw. KT still with the advantage. Nice little ditto play there with the double DJ. Unless a top deck here for Gone, he'll undoubtedly have to draw, which indeed he will. And now KT into the red 8. Into background, who put up that fight against Gone and battling for the rookie class here during Automotive April. Background would eventually be eliminated, making Gone the class champion for the rookies here in T2. This little top deck there, ditto by Gone, forces KT to draw. KT now iced out on the red. Does Gone have, well, I was going to say Gone may be also iced out, but he did top deck the red 8. Does he have an 8 to color swap, or is he also iced out? Nope, there's the color swap over into the blue. And that will start to open things up on both sides, but KT with the advantage after Gone was forced to draw for 3 consecutive turns. KT up 9 to 13. Will be 9 to 12 here at even possession. If Gone has a card to play, which I would assume he does. I think both these individuals have in the back of their mind the fact that they are iced out on the red if they want to do something defensively. And we're going to run in blue for a while as there's the Jesse Turner blue 5. Interesting. I just looked back there. We were on red 5 at one point. Now this may have been a 5 that was off the draw, but we were on red 5. There could have been a color swap earlier on, but the KT elected to remain in the draw, the mini draw city. Interesting play there as we continue to run in blue. The blue 1 by Gone, the blue 6 by KT. Both individuals still have both of their power plays available. I don't think we're going to see either one of them use them here in Game 3. Game 4, maybe Gone would consider using one of them if KT's able to draw closer at a 2-1, taking this third game. But again, it's all situational. And KT alluded to the word instincts. That plays a huge part as well. It's not only about knowing what you have in your hand, but kind of considering trying to predict what's on the other side as well. Timing is everything as we're into the green, into the yellow. Pandora's box has been open now. As we start to traverse into the 2 colors we haven't hit yet here in this third game. And I think that right there is all about color control. I think that Gone wanted to run in the green, where he has most of his cards. KT says, no, no, no. You're not controlling the pace. You're not controlling what color it's going to be. We're going to go over into the color that I want to control with the yellow. We'll see if there's an answer back here from Gone. Nope, he'll play it cool. He'll continue to run in the yellow as well. KT down to 6 cards, Gone down to 9. We have seen so many times where even 6 cards, you could just be dipping your toe into the end zone in preparation for a finish. KT will continue to run in the yellow, continues to play it cool with the numbers. How long before we light the powder keg? Gone. Oh, we may not have the powder keg just yet. Gone will draw KT back, puts it into the 0. We are back even at 7 cards each. So now midway through this third game, we're back to basically a classic start at 7 cards. KT continues the yellow run. Gone's got to be at some point. You got to think here. I was just going to say, he's going to probably try and get it over to the green that he tried earlier. He'll use his wild to do so. KT will follow with the green 9. Gone felt. Oh, and there's the answer back. There is the answer back. Anything you can do, I can do too. And Gone is iced out in the yellow. Great play there by KT. Great utilization of the wild. And now, Gone does not have a wild to be able to call upon. KT back in control, down to 3. And he'll play the power play. One of his 2 power plays here to bring this series up to 2-1. Red +4. Red 3, and he'll close it out with the red 4. Power play in the early going, but he'll bring the series at least closer to 1. KT, I mentioned about the fact that having the 2 power plays, it gives you guys a little bit more freedom, and you talked about instinct. Right there, how important was it to get that game, have a crooked number there in the win column, at least give yourself a shot to draw this thing back even, still have that other power play available when needed.
Lane Sanders, man, that's all Lane Sanders. You know, he talks about using those early game power plays, and I always study everyone's tape, man. I'm always an old dog, but I always learn. Lane really talks about using that early power play for momentum. I've been in the booth with Coach a lot, and you know, you got to change the momentum. Once again, didn't have much going there. I knew he had a wild at some point because he's been getting at least a good wild flush at some point with the regular wild. So I'm thinking, okay, he hasn't played it yet. Just going to ice him out. And you never know. He might have a back end +4 in the back, and you got to take the opportunity. I think with the power play, too, you noticed there I did a little bit of a single play. Not a guy to usually do that, but it's the Elite 8. You got to check every bridge off. And let's take that win, keep it upper tier here, and just keep chalking, man. You know, that's big. Like I said, the first 2 games were partially my fault, and then a partially just the case that he did a great job, and now I'm starting to get my rhythm back, and didn't have much there other than that wild +4 a while, but that's enough sometimes in the game of Uno when you can play ISO. So happy for myself there, and Gon did a good job as well, for sure, just to isolate me and use that wild. He made the break as well.
Yeah, and you know, I made a likeness of you and Caesar in the fact that, you know, you're multifaceted. You're able to hit from several different directions. And right there we saw a classic case of both offensive and defensive. You not only were able to be offensive with the color control, we obviously could see he wanted to get over to green and you would draw it back to your color in the yellow, but you also were able to play the defensive side as well with icing him out when he tried to use the wild. You had the wild to answer back, and you know, in terms of what you were able to do with that control, you know, we've seen you be able to do that here in these other games. Is it just having to have the ammo to be able to give yourself the freedom for something like that?
Yeah, it's the creativity, Seth, right? And with creativity comes a double-edged sword, right? There's sometimes where you could be creative with the looks, and there's sometimes you be creative with the package of number efficiency. There, I wasn't creative at all, honest to God. It was more just, okay, he drew off the start. Let's see how it goes, right? And him drawing off the start with the ISO red, I just know, okay, he's deficient on the red, right? And I can just run it. I had double numbers, so I said, okay, let's run the double numbers, keep it running. 8. I had the red 8, and then he didn't switch, so I held off. I actually held back a backdoor red 4. I didn't top deck that backdoor that I kept in my back pocket just to see if he blinks, and he didn't blink, so then I blinked on it, and then all of a sudden he blinks, so I run. It helps, though. I had 256, 256 in yellow and blue, so I knew I had an out either way. Saved my green, hit that up as much as I can. His +2 actually benefited me, believe it or not. It gave me the, what was it, an extra red 3 and 4, and ironically I was juiced, so that actually made my life a little easier because I knew he didn't have red. But at a certain point, he gets 4 in the back pocket. When you don't see much ammo, you got to assume, okay, he's going to get something from that +4. Use the power play. I would never do that move with 1 power play, but with 2 here, you get some momentum back, and it's all about momentum. It's like basketball, man. Got to get some mo, right? Get it back in your arsenal, and then just keep running and rolling. So good win there. We'll keep it rolling, and that's all you can really ask for in a best of 9 for sure.
Absolutely, and I love your point there as well. With we've talked about the return on the +2s and the +4s, and the power play there to make sure that whatever he got in the return, the +4 was not going to come back to hit you. So I love that in the utilization of the power play, that foreseeing what could end up drawing you back away from an Uno and eliminating that contingency. Asked Gone about that remaining ammo, what he might have had after the wild he played there to try and get it over to green. Was it just having to control the color and rely on number efficiency? And he said it was the number efficiency. He could have gone to blue first. Wouldn't have helped because he pretty much had all numbers. So we'll see now. We've seen a lot of shifting in terms of the momentum and the ammo distribution here. We'll see if it draws even here as KT draws it back up now down 2-1. Gone will have the home game advantage here. Will not be able to use 14 and 12. Cody, go ahead and ask him what we're going to have here for this 4th game, as KT will look to draw it back even. Gone looking to go up 3-1 in this best of 9. Gone will have the advantage on the power play department, still has his original 2. KT down 1, still has a power play left to utilize here as we start to enter into the middle of this tournament matchup. Again, the winner of this matchup is going to be facing off against Myth, who was able to take the victory over Vapor in the Mustang region. Later on, 8:30 tonight. Join us here on MRE Uno YouTube channel. Matchup of the 7-seed Monkey and the 13-seed Ed. Again, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Elite 8 Spider region. We determine the winner of that one. We will begin with the green 1, 11 card start, requested by Gone. So we continue to run in the upper tier so far. We've been in the double digits. Have not had a starting number less than what we're currently on at 11. Little time taken here. A little bit of consideration, more than likely on both sides. This could be a very pivotal game in terms of momentum. KT looking to draw it even. Gone trying to draw one step closer to advancing into his first Final Four appearance. His first appearance here in the Endurance 8. And looking for that one extra step, that one extra mile here. As we will run in the blue after the initiation over to said color from Gone. This is the lowest we've been at for a card count so far. So one would think that the ammo distribution would be a little bit more depleted than it would be at a 13 or a 14 card start. May come down more so to the number efficiency and color control here in this one. May have that 1 or 2 really good ammo cards maybe to use, but you gotta find a way to chain to it. And you may end up planning on utilizing it late in the game to possibly go for a finish. A lot of consideration here by KT. The pace of this game has definitely backed down a lot more than what we saw in the first 3 games. And I think that also shows the gravitas of this game and its importance. Start to go into those middle games. You set the tone in the first games. Then the momentum is what's important in the middle games, and then you're obviously either looking for a comeback or you're looking for a finish in the final games. Not only of a best of 9, but also in a best of 7. KT has planned his strategy accordingly. And he's decided to go with the Ashley Red 1, or the Red Wild, I'm sorry. And gone will oblige. Interesting, utilizing the Wild early on here for KT to establish color control in red. This, to me, spells bad news for Gone. If you see a Wild, a regular Wild played this early on, this says to me that KT's got a lot more in the back pocket. Kind of shades of what we saw back in Game 3 when he was willing to utilize his Wild to get the color control back, cancel out the green Wild from Gone, get it back to yellow. He had the +4 available at the end. I feel like he's got something like that here available again. So he'll play it cool into the red 8. If you're Gone, I think you're trying to do everything in your power right. Well, I would say everything in your power right now to get a color swap, but if indeed, if my instincts are correct and KT does have that +4, if you ice KT out, he'll be more than willing to use that +4 and draw you back. Gone does the swap over to the yellow. What's KT's answer going to be? And he'll bring it back to red with the trips play, double reverse. Gone, though. Back to the yellow. KT down to 5 cards. Would that be enough to draw out that big offensive card by KT? Or does he have anything still in reserve? You'd have to think more than likely he wouldn't have anything in terms of the skips or the reverses. Maybe the +2s. There's the +4. He drew it out. Drew out the +4. Brings it back to red once again. 4 freshies for Gone as KT now down to 3. And Gone with a ditto play. And that ices KT out. You gotta think KT wanted to hang on to that +4. And Gone was able to draw it out. Now Gone gonna run in the red. Talk about the return on the +2s and the +4s. Gone got the return that he wanted. And now we're gonna go into a draw city. That might have depleted all the ammo KT had. Now looking for a little bit more, draw a little bit more back. Gone. He'll break it free with the swap over into the yellow. Now we're freed up out of red. Let's see what was yielded on that draw city on both sides. KT still with the possession by 2. Little 1-2 punch. Double there with the reverse into the yellow 1. And an answer back with a skip into the yellow 3 by Gone. Now we run numbers in the yellow. OKT into draw once again. Gone looking to draw it even. 5 cards each. He'll do so with the swap over into green. May have opened up Pandora's box. We haven't been in green hardly at all this game. Oh, look at that. The green skip into the yellow wild. That yellow wild might have been a top deck. And that should, I believe, ice out Gone. Unless he has... Oh, he had an answer. He had the wild +4. He'll bring it back to green. Could this be a finish? 4 cards left. No power play needed. That is it. 5-bagger to close it out. It came down to the top deck draws once again. I'm assuming that +4 might have been held in reserve, but I doubt it. KT, it really looked like you might have had something set up there. Did he draw out that +4 a little too early than what you planned?
There we go. My
Oh,
bad.
there we go.
Mike
Nope.
was on mute.
You're all good.
Yeah, Mike is. Yeah, I don't know, man. He faded off the green, and I know, like I said from tape, I know Gon has green. You don't fade it off on the first card if you don't have green. So I knew he had green. Look, that KT Classic was going to work. I didn't have no finish. I wanted to classic it out, just try to get it go back on my end to try to get the momentum going on there. So it worked out. It just unfortunately, the only thing I guess I could have maybe thought about, maybe he had a +4, but yeah, I kind of saw it coming when when he had that green fade off the start. Knowing how Gon plays, he knows how to play very, very tricky with one color and then go back. So I knew he had. The read was absolutely 100% right. And I knew, okay, there's only one shot I got. It's like, okay, let's push the accelerator. Because I also had some green, but I just had a gut feeling just in my heart, okay, he's got it. You wouldn't fade it off if you didn't have it. So I accelerated him a little bit. Only thing I could have done was maybe use my greens early, but then at some point, he's going to hit me back with something. So it's definitely, I can tell it's 3-color because I'm not getting all 4 colors off the start. So it's a 3-color game, and it comes down to the box. I had a good hand there. I had the same exact hand as game 3. I think really that green fade was, let me see. He did a good job on it because the only blue I had was, I want to say it was the 7. Yeah, it was the 7. So that's all I really had. The only thing I could have did was the yellow reverse, red reverse, ice it back, and then he was able to get to yellow, and then he iced me there. If I play my, let me see, if I play my red 5, yellow 9, nah, couldn't have done much. No, because then I've got a green then I got a green hanger. So yeah, got it early in the match. Had really no until so I like okay. So yeah, no ammo. Okay, that's interesting.
And no ammo. Had that wild +4 early on in the match and held on to it there as well. So
yeah, toppers for sure.
Yep, definitely. I mean, we've seen every aspect of basically the facets of Uno here in these first 4 games, and this one coming down to the top decking in game number 4. Well, KT, unfortunately down 3-1, but now, as you mentioned, you had 4 guaranteed home games, and we enter now into back-to-back home games for you. Not able to do 13, but got a lot of options here. What are we looking at here for a crucial game 5?
Yeah, we're going to go run it back that 14 pack. Let's do it.
Going back to that 14 that we kicked off this series with. And just like we had in the first game, we kick it off, 14-card start, with the wild +4. Little deja vu right there. That seems about right. Automotive April, deja vu, had that drifting car, so let's see what KT decides here. Dealer's choice, and we'll run in the yellow. Gone up 3-1. Says boo to the yellow and says nope, instead we're going to go to the green. And KT will oblige. We'll run in the blue here for the start of this one. Gone now. Wow, okay, so Gone unhappy with the blue or with the yellow, swaps it over to blue and then says, no, you know what? I changed my mind. We'll go back to the yellow again. Maybe little mind games being played there by the KG rookie. KT, little mistype there, but he'll play the yellow 3. There it is. KT still with the 1 power play. Gone still has both power plays available. Consider the fact up 3-1. If Gaughan's got the hands, he could utilize those power plays right here and in the next game to take a 5-1 series victory. But again, it's just all about what's on the other side of the table and what you've got in your hand that you can utilize. Gaughan loading up, little +2 there. Double play. Draws KT back to a dozen, but again, what's the return? It's always risky when you do the +2s, especially the +4s in the middle of a game. You think you've got the momentum in possession, but what you've really done is given a lot more ammo options to the other side, as KT will bring it back once again to the blue. Little ditto play there from Gaughan. We have only run in blue and yellow, so red, green, Pandora's box could be open. Could be looking at a swap here with a potential double, trips, quad play from KT. Typing out quite a bit. This could be a quad play. Either that or this could be even bigger. There's no way, right? It was a quad. Well, we're going to keep going. It was a 5-bagger. +2. Reverse, or skip, reverse into the red 9. So 2 freshies now for Gaughan. KT now takes a 4-card advantage in terms of possession. A lot of ammo used there. Brings it over into a color we've yet to run in. Pandora's box could be open. We're still waiting on the green to make an appearance here in Game 5. Gaughan will continue to run in the red. KT will do the same. KT down to 5 cards. A lot of ammo used. Don't know if he would have a finish at 5 cards right now or not. There's the swap over into green. Gaughan looks like he may be loading up. Little 1-2. Double play with the green skip into the green 9. KT with the 2, down to 3 cards. Gaughan with the swap over to blue. And KT answers back with a ditto. Remember, we started the game with blue. It was a quick swap over. Are we going to finish on blue? Is there still green or red, though? That's the thing. Oh, red +4. Back into the red. Possession advantage now goes to Gaughan. KT, though, with 4 fresh ones. Gaughan tiptoeing into the end zone, looking to go up 4-1. What did KT get on the return with the +4? Smart by KT, taking a look, seeing what he got. Trying to figure out what potentially, I think this is more so him trying to figure out what's on the other side. What does Gaughan potentially have? What can he do to counter it, rather than trying to figure out on his end what he's got to be able to get to a finish. A little bit on the back foot here with that +4 plate on him. Gaughan still with 2 power plays available. I think that's something else that KT has to think about. If Gaughan's got maybe 2 cards he can chain for a finish, and he just needs that little gap bridged by a power play, I think that's what KT might be looking for right now. Play a card that's not going to allow Gaughan to get to that one outstanding card to utilize the power play. Here we go. Let's see what KT goes with. And he got the +4 return. Answers right back, and he'll bring it to green. And just like that, KT with the possession has gone over to blue. And that ices out KT, the number efficiency for gone. Now he'll run in the blue. What did he get on the return is the question as well. KT, green wild. Does gone have an answer? He's got green. He'll run with the 6. And now we're going to start draining out green here to the end. Trying to draw it back even, and possession is gone. Gone with the power play. He's got to finish here to make it 4-1. Green 2, red 2. Oh, the +2! The +2 by KT draws gone back. He had the wild. He had the wild to finish it out. KT had the answer. Now Gone's got to rethink this. Down to 2 cards. Another answer back. Top deck +2 by KT. And now Gone will put it to the green with a wild. A top deck wild. It's top deck city here. Both individuals right on the precipice here. 3 cards for Gone, 5 cards for KT. The power play is gone for Gone. Wild yellow ices out Gone, and now the momentum shifts to KT, back even at 4 cards. Now at 1-1 with the power plays available. Missed opportunity there for Gone. KT had the card to answer back, the +2. And there is the finish. How about the utilizations of the +2s there for KT? Man, able to get that power play. Gone, able to draw him away from the Uno with the +2. You then top deck another +2. I mean, that's got to be huge in terms of momentum right there, because it was certainly looking like, when we saw the power play, it was looking like it was going to be a 4-1 deficit.
Silver Fox, baby. I actually did not top deck one. The blue +2 I did, the red +2 I saved. I misplayed that earlier. I'm thinking, okay, once again, he's fading off, what was it, the red earlier, so I actually saved it. There was that long break in action. I said, okay, just save the red +2. He wants to go back to it. And I think the pace is allowing me to go back to where I can just play a little slower, play it a little bit more cleaner. I don't know what that power play. I thought, okay, maybe he's trying to get the red. I saw what he was trying to do, I think, on number of fish, but now I flushed one, right? That's big, so that makes it us even on the 1-1s on the power play. But man, I had to fight hard. He did a good job of just offsetting me in every game right there. We were nip and tuck all the way through, man. That was I had to use all my 22 years of experience on that one, Seth, for sure. But we got to ask him about that power play. But I did save that red +. The blue +2 was just okay. Let's top deck, and we got it, and then. When I top decked out, I got a regular wild. I'm like, that's game. I knew right there, that's game. Because I had saved my yellow skip reverse package to the end. Fine margins, man. That's the way I like it. But we're living on a prayer right here, and we're keeping it into a series for sure. It's been a good one, to say the least.
Definitely indeed. Drawing it now back up to a 3-2 series. And basically, Gone just kind of answered the question I was going to ask him. Kind of, it seemed like the instinct for him was utilizing the power play then and there, trying to finish the thing out with a wild. He just couldn't get over the line. Nothing that he could really do. It was a defensive offensive power play, which kind of seems like a flip reversal term, but it actually is a thing that can be utilized strategically here in the game of Uno. But now has that power play gone, only one able to utilize, one apiece. And KT, you got the home field advantage here again, looking to draw it to a 3-3 even series. Can't do 13, can't do 14. Where are we going?
I gotta think about this one. I mean, yeah, guaranteed that game 9. So I'm just gonna go 12. I'm gonna play it safe. Go 12.
Gonna go with the 12 here. Wow. Third game where we're going to start out with the +4, so dealer's choice for KT. That is the third of the 4 home games for KT that we have started out with the +4. And KT has been able to choose the color in which we are going to begin with. We're going to run in the blue to begin this one here. KT looking to draw this back even 3-3. Gone looking to go up 4-2. Both players with only one power play available now. KT's worked out for him to be able to draw the series closer at 2-1. Gone was looking to go up 4-1 with his power play, but KT had an answer and was able to stifle that power play. Out of the red into the green. Gone with the initiation on the color swap, and KT iced out on the green, so might be another 3-color hand for KT. Gone will now run in the green here, looking to continue the number efficiency to ice out KT. He's got the possession in terms of cards right now. KT looks like, nope, I was going to say, looked like he might have an answer for a color swap. Not the case. And now Gone iced out as well. And we're going to go into a bit of a draw city. Both players iced out on the green. Stuck on the Aria 1. And Gone will initialize the color swap with the Wild. We've seen Gone utilize the Wilds quite a bit here in this series. He's been the one to kind of initiate getting out of the draw cities. And he might pay for that there as he opened up the door for KT to hit a trips play. Adds 2 cards to Gone's hand. Draws it back now even 9 apiece. Gone now will swap it over into the red. And another answer back, man. KT was efficient with the +2s back at the close of Game 5, and now utilizing the +2s here in the middle of Game 6. Draw's gone back even further. Gone might have an answer back, though. That's 4 fresh cards in those 2 +2s that KT has played. That Gone might have something. Might look to take possession back, which indeed he will do. Trip skip into the blue +2, and he's still going. There's no way this is a finish. He'll stack the +2 into the yellow +5, and just like that, indeed, the possession goes back to Gone. KT now back to 13 cards, almost back to what we started this game with. 1 up from that, started with 12. Now with that stack +2, though, KT may have some return as far as the ammo is concerned. Let's see if he's got an answer back here against Gone. Not sure if he'd be able to play something to get possession back, but he can certainly draw it back close to even. Could also get it back to, what was the color we went into Draw City with? I believe it was the green. Yeah, it was the green. KT trying to draw this series back even 3-3. Reminder, everybody, that later on tonight we determine the winner on the Spider region, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ed taking on Monkey. Winner there gets G-Man, the winner of the Diablo region. Winner of this matchup, they will face off against Myth, who was the winner in the Mustang region. We look to settle out the Jaguar region here in this one with KT versus Gone. KT with +4. Little quad play into the reverse, +2. Swap into the red there by Gone. Draw by KT, and then Gone brings it back to blue once more, freeing up KT to be able to play. Gone one card possession. It's been back and forth here in this pivotal game 6. And now Gone with the swap over into the yellow. We've yet to see either of these two bring it back into green. We've had stacked +2s, we've had +4s. You got to think they've got some green, but the question of how much. Continue to run in the yellow, still the one possession advantage for Gone. One power play apiece. 6th game of this potential best of 9 as look there, a little KT classic into his own card. The yellow reverse into the blue wild. KT with an answer back, though. The wild answer backs have been crazy by KT in this series. And he will ice out Gone. And now with the 0. KT draws it back even. Now takes advantage in terms of possession. If KT ends up winning this series, I think that the utilization of the wilds, just the regular wilds, not even the wild +4s, the regular wilds is going to be one of the deciding factors. And now we're going to go into Draw City in the yellow. We saw near the end of the last game, Game 5, we saw a lot of top deck come into play. Saw a little bit of it as well back in Game 3. Draw City continues. We'll see who's going to unlock the door here. Gone with the yellow 7. They can't, that doesn't break them open. Doesn't free them. The only thing that really did was give Gone maybe a little bit more of an advantage on the possession, being able to play a card, but that's about it. Both players looking for something to be able to get going. Once again is currently iced out on the yellow. Again, we have gone this in, oh no, I was going to say we've gone this entire game without green, but we were in green for a spell. And now it gets tough. Gone with another yellow. This time again, the yellow 7. So technically, I guess you could call it a ditto play, since the last card that was actually played was the yellow 7. Just a very lengthy space between the ditto play. But they weren't able to get off of yellow 7 before. They're not able to get off yellow 7 now. Massive draw city here as both players back into the double digits. Gone with the yellow 1. I'm pretty sure that's the card that we started the draw city with. That enough to free up KT, though? No, it is not. Does Gone have the number efficiency now for the color swap, or are we going to continue into Draw City? We continue into Draw City. So we have ended up having our last 4 cards all be pairs, yellow 1s and yellow 7s, and neither one have had an opportunity to be able to jump off of either one of them with a color swap. Gone now initiates the opportunity here with the yellow 9. That has to free something up, one would think. KT answers back with the reverse and the draw. So he is looking to draw out, pun intended, the ammo of Gone. Will Gone oblige? Yes, he will. He'll initiate the color swap with the blue reverse into the green reverse. Gone taking his time. He may have something else here. Currently up on the possession. KT at double the cards that Gone has. Almost 11 minutes here into this 6th game. Believe it'd be pretty close here to, if not the longest game of this series, pretty close to it. Gone with that double player on the reverse. Now really taking his time on this one. This could be a question of him trying to figure out. Actually, I'll play with the green too. It might have been him trying to consider, if I have more ammunition. Oh, he said this phone went dead. Okay, that explains it. Try to spin some kind of a story there, but apparently the phone decided to go kaput for a moment. It's now KT all over into the red. There's Brad with the Uno log. Appreciate it there, Brad. So there you can see we are definitely into our longest game so far. Our longest game just a little under 9 minutes prior to this one, and we have already eclipsed 12 minutes here in Game 6. Gone with the green wild. Oh. Looks like KT was going for the, he didn't specify the color. He was going for a double play there. Green skip into the green 0. We may see that green skip now. Nope. Still won't. So he'll play a ditto into the green 3. So we do know he's got a green skip. Maybe we'll see the green skip this time, as Gone continues to run in the green. Nope, instead, KT not going to play that green skip, so that's got to be in the back of Gone's mind. Instead, brings it over into the red, and we're going to go into a draw city in the red. KT opens it up with the red 1. Gone. Looks like he's going to bring it over to blue. I was going to say, we're definitely not going to bring it over to yellow because both the yellow ones have been played. And now we'll go to green. Now we're doing a lot of swapping here with the coloring. Red to the blue to the green. And KT probably trying to get over to that green. Remember, he has that green skip. Do we see the green skip now? He might actually have a chain with the skips. There's the green skip. And there's the green 6. So finally gets that green skip played. Gone still with that possession though. 6 cards to the finish. Looking to take a 4-2 advantage. There's a little double play with the +2. Gets down to 4 cards. Draws KT back to a dozen. And KT iced out on the green even after the +2. Little ditto play there from Gone. KT with the number efficiency, though, brings it back to red. That's going to undoubtedly ice out Gone. No, he had an answer. He had an answer with the number efficiency, brings it to blue. Down to 2 cards. KT, got to think about this one. Got to figure out. He's been very good with the defensive plays here, drawing Gone back away from Uno. Gone maybe, if KT isn't able to do anything, Gone, you may have to think, could consider his second power play here to go up 4-2. First power play he utilized did not work out to his advantage. KT ended up taking that game. So the power play was pretty much considered null and void. KT might have to, if he doesn't have an answer here, you might have to think about defensive power play as well. I think KT, this is the instinct. This is the veteran experience coming into play. I think he had an idea of what he wanted to do. Might have had a potential knee-jerk reaction, but instead, taking his time, looking at the scenarios, and what he wants to do. Remember, he got hit with that +2, so he may have something in reserve on the return. If Gone wins this game, he's one win away from advancing to the Final Four. If KT can draw him back, extend this game, and draw it back even. And there is the power play. There is the power play. He'll now put it into red. Does that ice out Gone? Gone had an answer on number efficiency before when KT brought it to red, but he's got it on the 0. Gone, what did he get on the top deck? Not anything to be able to run with. And KT with the defensive power play, well done there. We'll have no more power plays for the rest of this game now, down the home stretch of this series. Now he will run in red, look for the number efficiency to draw this back even. This is about the third or fourth time this series that Gone has been close to the end and KT has had an answer. Now into the blue, the number efficiency. KT brings it to yellow. KT doing everything he can to get it off of blue. That appears to be the color Gone wants to finish this thing out. Gone will run in yellow, however. KT got to think about this now. Does he have number efficiency to get it back to red maybe? Is that even a possibility? Let's see. We do have... Nope, both red 5s have been played. He'll play a yellow 3. And that's all the 3s played. So there is no opportunity for a color swap here for Gone. Does he have yellow? If he has a finish here, does Gone consider the power play? May have a +4 here. This could be a finish. If this is a finish, he's got to make sure he's get the Uno called in there. And there it is. Oh, wait a minute. Now, fortunately for him, he didn't type it in correctly, so there is no Uno call out. KT's got the Uno call out. He's got it loaded up and couldn't do it. Boy, almost a costly mistake there for Gone. Fortunately, the first command was not in correctly, and he will hit the wild +4 into the blue 4 to finish it out. Trying to type on an iPad isn't fun.
Yeah, he did a good job there. Off the start, I had a great hand, but then he used that green. That was a great power play because he didn't have any red. I wasn't getting jack squat off the draw city because we had used all our ammo, so I knew it was a number game. Probably saved the game there if I hadn't done that, though, because if I do that, I think he had blue to the finish, and I was right. It was keep away from blue. He did a fantastic job. I got nothing to complain about that one, for sure.
But something we've definitely been able to see you do here, KT, is be able to utilize all the different facets. When you see he's down there towards the end, we saw just here the utilization of the power play to draw him back, and we've seen a little bit of a lengthy period of time in doing so. Is that weighing all the different options, looking at the card history, trying to figure out, what is the one play I have to do? What are my options here? Do I have to go with plan A, B, C in terms of what the drawback plan is?
Yeah, that's it, right? That's why I'm taking my time using every tool in the book. At the end of the day, right now, he's just doing a great job of just on the starter. It's really the starter. He's using those greens. I just don't have one color to work with, so it's 3 color, and he's just exposing me on that one color. You got to give him respect right there. I got nothing but respect for that because, really, if he doesn't do that green, then I'm going to run a +2 combo, and he's cooked. Right? At the end of the day, it's 100% on me because I didn't have the green off the start. but I knew he's going to have it at the end. I did some classics in there, did some back doors, right? You got to respect everything I'm doing here. And when he threw that monster +4 run, well, there's no way we're going to just not match that, right? So I matched it, and I threw all my heaters out there, saved the wild back pocket, and then we just were able to run it clean. Like I said, I think he's doing a great job of just using his heaters. I'm using mine. The only thing I could have done maybe in that situation was save the blue, but you can't look at that hindsight. He's doing a really good job of just getting me off my game and using what he knows in this league that he's had experience of against me, which is what you want in terms of fair respect. But you can't say I ain't throwing the kitchen sink at it, because I definitely am. I'm throwing everything that I know how to play at the sink, and ultimately he's just coming up aces right now towards the starter where I'm just not be able to capitalize, which is great for
Absolutely.
him for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing your veteran, or I should say your legendary experience coming into play here in this game on both the offensive and the defensive side. Definitely having him have to really weigh a lot of different options, see a whole lot
Yeah.
of different aspects here, and try and answer back. But now, as we'll wait for his answer here, you're down out of power plays. So now, what is the mindset of a former champion? Because right now, currently a 4-2 deficit. You're gonna have to rely on all that experience and everything here.
Oh yeah.
So how do you combat the fact that there's a power play on the other side with potentially another 3 games to go?
Well, you have to take it one game at a time. He's doing a great job of, like I said, just using everything I had to do in my book and my arsenal. So you look at this game, it's really come down to trying to use that veteran play the classic, play the card history. It's been working because it's been dragging out these games. But now I've got to think, okay, it's been dragging out this game. Um, how do I try to go from here? Well, I can do two things. Depends on the card starter, and then number three, I think it's going to be card start. Depends on how I can use my other packages I have in the back foot. And then I guess at this point, we just got to see when that potential PP will come into play. Because remember, the first time he used it, it was whatever. It was more just, I don't know, defense. So this one will be a little bit different for sure.
Asked gone. He had the cards there to get to the end. Game 4, did it make him a little gun shy of using a second power play to finish that one out, or did he just want to hold on to it for later? He says trying to hold on to it, still a lot of game to play. Felt like that he didn't have to use it in that game. Definitely on the front foot at the end, so thought he could win
Yeah.
without it.
Yeah, I
And
could tell because all those draws I was getting was just numbers, numbers, numbers. Then I popped one skip, and okay, so I tried to do one of those. I guess one of those fake plays. Gio does it all the time.
yep,
Where I was doing Uno play S. I'm just thinking, okay, maybe he'll crack on something. But then he did a good job. I knew he had a double green 9, so I drew. I didn't account for the double blue 9 because I had a double red 9. I had a red 9 in the back pocket. Didn't have a double, but I had a red 9, so I saved that. I knew he didn't need red. But ultimately, I don't know. Maybe he top decked the +4. I don't know when he got the power. Well, not the power play, the Uno draw where he went capitalization after my red 0. I don't know. Either way, good job to him. Like I said, I'm not one to complain. Never am, man. Just got to keep digging, keep fighting. I think I'm putting on a show in terms of just getting everything on the stops, and we'll see how this game 7 goes. Now it's his call. At least I used all my home games up. That's for sure.
it is definitely a show. Is now 4-2 advantage for Gone. He'll have his first of 2 homestands here if necessary. Looking to win that 5th game, move on to the final 4. He'll have the call here with no 14, 12, or 11 available. Cody with the asking here on what Gone wants. 1 power play advantage now for Gone, as first time we will go into the single digit card count in this series. We start with 9. We'll begin in green. Important game here for KT's. Got to get it back to 4-3. No power plays to be able to lean on. Gone with the early color swap over into the red. At KT on the offensive. +2 into the draw. Oh, looks like only red that he had there. Gets the possession. Gone will continue to run in the red. KT will be looking for the color swap here. Doesn't find it. KT's had some good answers defensively as Gone's gotten closer down to Uno several times in this series. Now both of them iced out on the red in the early going. Mid-tier card start, highest mid-tier at 9. You can run into that situation where you're iced out on a color in the early going. Gone, though, does find a top deck with the red 4. Does that open up the opportunity for a light switch here from KT, or does he continue to draw back? He'll continue to draw back. Gone's got the number efficiency, though. He'll open up the door with the blue. KT continues to draw back. Not necessarily certain that means he's out of blue. May not necessarily be. We've seen some of the greats do this, where they're just looking for that ammunition. Gone will continue to run down now. Continues in the blue. KT now with the initiation over to green. We'll continue to run in the green here. KT, twice the amount of cards that Gone has. Into the red. Back into the red, looking for the ice out. Does Gone have the answer? He does. Utilizes the wild again, brings it back to the green. Does KT answer back? We've seen him answer back wild for wild several times. Does he answer back here again to get it back to the red? No, instead he will run in the green with the double reverse. Brings it over to blue. Again, taking the control of the color away from Gone. What KT has been able to do so well here in a number of these games. Gone has had answers for some, has not found answers for others. This time he has an answer, able to run in the blue. KT brings it over to the yellow. Looks like he's trying to stay off that green. Gone's established, that's the color he wants. Gone down to 4 cards, he'll get it over to the green. Does KT have an answer to get it off of that color? Down to 3, he's got the answer, brings it back to yellow. Gone down to 3 cards, has the power play available to take the series. Does he have a finish? There is the power play. That's going to be the series. Into the yellow 7. Might have a wild here to finish this things out. Undoubtedly, I think he'll be finishing on the green. Looking for the Uno call out is KT. Gone, making sure he does this correctly, and indeed it is the +4 into the green to close it out. Utilizes the power play to finish the thing out. Wins the series 5-2.
Yeah, I had nothing there, man. Only had that red +2. Had a couple reverses, played everything right to the key. You got to make the break there at some point. I had a yellow reverse green skip. That was the only thing on the back end I could have played. I had a feeling he had something on the cooker, so I said, okay, we accept it. But, hey, man, good start to the year. We're 7-2. We got a Legends class title in this tournament. Nothing to complain about, man. That's where you want to be. I talked to good old Sanford, so we'll stay on that one line next tournament. Positive run here. We'll take this, depending on what happens tonight, P6 or 7, and move forward. That's the best thing to do. Seth, he played exceptional, man, today. And that's what I expected coming in. I knew this would be a battle. Nothing but respect. I got nothing but love. You know that.
I mean, you and I have had the opportunity to be in the booth, call matches that we've seen, this budding rookie and Gone. Now you've been able to face him firsthand. I mean, from a player perspective now, what does Myth have to look forward to heading into that Final Four matchup? Because, while we've been able to see it from the observer side, you've just now gone through like the whole mental, physical aspect of facing off against him. So, what are we looking at here in that upcoming Final Four matchup?
Well, first we got to get the schedule right, but I don't know, man. Myth. We saw what happened last night with Vapor, right? Vapor, he got screwed. Okay, there's no doubt. He just didn't have anything going his way. This would be a game. I think Myth's just going to run 6 to 8. I just think he loves that mid tier to classic 7. And with CSR, the thing is, or MCSR, with the whole shift of that, you can just run 7, right? You can run 6, and that's a whole different ball game. It's not regular CSR. With that being said, because it's not regular CSR, it comes to a point where okay, you have to analyze this in 2 ways. If he runs that usual 6-7s, Gon's got to be prepared for that. But the moment Mitch starts getting those Plan A wins, how do you prepare for that? He's got to look into that. When he's looked at the players he played, he had to go back to Cap. I don't think he can really use anything against me. I don't really think he's going to be able to use anything against what he learned against Tapir because we're more high-tier players. He's got to go back to that Cap series and think about what he did there because Cap is the closest we have to Myth, other than maybe Ghost, I would say, is another one who plays that stuff. He's got to learn to spit. Myth's going to have the advantage on pace. Okay, pace, it's over. Myth's got the pace. We know how quick he plays. Vapor was the same way. This is going to be a little bit different. I think it's going to be an element of, okay, can God find a way to use a little bit more of that, I guess, kiltered style to where he plays it cleaner. He doesn't look for anything on the back end and maybe goes to his special 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 package where he's really good at. Because then if he can get that with a Plan B win, then he can offset the Plan A wins. But I think that one's going to really come down. I hate to say it. It's going to come down to really Myth controlling the pace. And if he gets those 6-7 wins, right, when it's a 3-3, 2-2-1, if he gets 6-7-6 cooking, which I know he's going to do, that's going to be the scary part for Gon. If Gon can get a steal one, if he can steal one on a 6, he can steal one on a 6 or 7, then it goes back into his favor. So nothing but speed versus in terms of integrity on the history on that one. So I think that's what we're going to look forward to in that game coming up Thursday. As for this game, man, like I said, I had house money, you know. We take these wins. We had 7 of them to start the year. That's fantastic. Last year I was already locked in the Super League. This year we're getting close, so nothing to really feel ashamed of. We'll move forward and look forward to running it back in round 2 next tournament because that's how it's probably going to go because there's going to be some buy-outs. So looking forward to that. Seth, good job as always, my friend, and I know Gon's got to get out of here soon, so we'll keep it clean for sure.
Yep, he'll be having his answer here in just a minute. I've just gotten the updated bracket here from Short. We'll be showing that here in just a moment. While we wait that answer there from Gon, though, one thing that I want to ask you here as well, KT, because obviously being on the opposite side of the table, you'd have a little bit more of an idea of this. We talk about limiting mistakes. You have to limit the mistakes, especially you get this far into a tournament. Outside of that failed call Uno, was there anything that you were able to expose here out of the rookie, and is there anything that you see going forward here in this matchup against Myth that maybe he needs to tighten up just a little bit?
Oh, a call out, that's for sure. But I think the one thing he's got to tighten up, right? The one thing he's got to tighten up, and it's not saying a lot. I think he's got to tighten up a little bit on some of those switches because there is a point where I was able to read him out, especially when I won that power play game. Was that game 5? I think it was. That one was really good. I think he's got to time out these switches just a little bit better because Myth, at the end of the day, he don't need switches, man. He can just go out there and just get the monster +2 chains, and it's over, right? So he's got to learn how to maybe use some of those switches. There's only so much you can do, though. He's going to have to play a 6-7, 6-8. It's going to be 5-9. Let's just call it that range. It's so hard to know. Where at least when you have 12, 13, 14, you play an old school guy like me, you know it's going to be respect. You know I'm not going to go and do anything stupid to you on 5 or 6 because I do believe that should be an element of respect to the game. But he's going to have a little bit more of a sense of, okay, this ain't KT. This ain't, Tapir who plays upper tier with the generator. This ain't Leah who uses that extra ammo or just goes crazy. I think it's going to be go back to the Cap Series. I think he's got to learn what he did from that Cap Series to find a way to maybe use his notes, because if he doesn't go back to that Cap Series and just looks back at the tape, then Myth's going to use the experience of what he known, and especially when you get to that round, we talk about this with low-tier players. 6-7-6 is what happened to Ash. It's deadly, right? And we know we have rules are coming, but it's so deadly, Seth, because you just don't know when it's going to end. You can try 30 seconds into the game, right, and then all of a sudden it's over. Ask Vapor last night. It was crazy. So he's going to have to learn that. See? He's going to play a little bit those mind game. My pass has been the lower 6, but I know the last coming. So we'll see. See, that's going to be the mind game, right? Because if he goes there, it's a mind game. If he doesn't go there, then where does Myth try to go? Does he try to get Myth off his head? So it'll be a mental chess match. I don't know what to say about that other than it'll be a mental chess match moving forward for sure.
Yeah, the only observation I have, and again, there may not be anything in it. It's just what I saw here in this game is the utilization of the wilds to establish color possession when he already had the possession in terms of card count. Maybe hang on to that wild. If you have to draw back a little bit, then draw back a little bit, but hold on to that wild for later on when you absolutely are going to need it towards the end of the game, because I end up seeing at least twice, maybe 3 times where he would do that, and you had an answer back for it with another wild. And, you know, while I don't, you obviously have the background there on Myth, I've yet to see Myth play a game. You know, that could be something if he scouts out his opponent here for this Final Four. That could be something that Myth could have in the back of his mind, is hold on to that wild just in case we end up seeing Gon utilize a wild to establish color, draw him right back and force him into a draw city, ice him out. So that might be the only maybe mistake that I saw out of Gon here in this one. But again, obviously a lot of it worked out to his favor, able to take this series. His quote there, to his answer to my question about him heading into the battle against Myth after toppling some giants here on his road into the Endurance 8 and now making his first Final Four appearance here in T2 of D1. His tournament has been a great turnaround for him. T2 definitely a specialty. Right now, he doesn't think his momentum means anything. The Final Four is a different beast. He also knows from experience Myth is a different kind of player to what he's come up against so far. His speciality in the past has been the lower start, 6-9, maybe even 10. He knows the last couple of games he's going to be going up high, so he might have to return to those roots and go from there. He talked about it at the beginning of this this matchup. Adaptation, might have to do that in that upcoming match against Myth, which we do have the updated bracket now. Here it is. Myth taking down Vapor, now knows his opponent in the Final Four, as Gon will be facing off against him. Mustang Jaguar going to be facing off on that side of the bracket. G-Man from Diablo region still awaits his opponent from the Spider region. That'll be determined tonight at 8:30 Eastern. Ed taking on Monkey. We'll know who the Final Four are going to be to look to move on to the finals here in Automotive April at the conclusion of this evening. Congratulations to Gon on the victory. Great fight put up by KT here. Appreciate him helping me with the commentary pre and post matchup as well. Cody Smart, our referee, and everybody that was in our watch chat here for this matchup. Gon versus Myth. To move on to the finals in the Automotive April. Stay tuned later on tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to close out this Endurance 8 in Automotive April for MRE Uno's 2025 T2 tournament. Until then, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys later on tonight.
This has been a presentation of MRE Uno Division 1.